Jai Shri friends, once a violinist went on a busy metro station in New York. He sat on a bench and started playing violin. It was a cold, busy Friday morning. Thousands of people were passing through the station. He played 7 musical pieces for about an hour, but none of them even noticed him playing. Most of them were on their way to work. After a few minutes, he received his first tip, but the lady who tipped didn't even listen a bit, but threw the coins in his hat and went. A few kids were fascinated, but their parents were in a hurry, and so they were forced to move. After an hour, 15 people tipped him. He collected $30. Neither the violinist was applauded nor anyone heard his music properly. No one knew he was no other than Joshua Bell, one of the best musicians in the world. He played some of the most expensive musical pieces which were ever written with a violin on that station. Those musical pieces were sold out for around $3.5 million. 2 days before this incident happened in the station, a show of Joshua Bell was sold out. The show was in Boston, and the cost of a single seat was $100. Washington Post had organized this with Joshua Bell at the station. It was a social experiment to determine the taste, perception, and the priorities of people. The result was shocking and made everyone think, how do we judge things? How do we acknowledge beauty? We only see it if we are paid for it. Yes, my dear friends, this is why Jesus in today's passage tells his disciples, no one can follow him unless he renounces himself, which is paying the price and then taking up the cross and following Jesus. He knew men so far followed him because of the bread he gave them and the signs he showed them. But now it was to be clear that the man who takes up God or religion to gain the world will just as easily throw them away for the world as would Judas do later. And Jesus warns this as Peter tries to dissuade Jesus from taking up the cross, where Jesus calls him sharply, Satan, get behind me. The disciples missed the focus. They didn't know what cross meant for Jesus. They were blind to eternity as they were in pursuit of crown and glory of this world. Like Joshua Bell, Jesus played the most expensive piece, but no one noticed him, as no one had so far paid the price for it. The taste was different, perceptions were different, and priorities were all different. It is here Jesus reminds, cross is nothing but way to salvation. It is nothing but hands extended to love, appreciate, encourage, and acknowledge. It is the pain one takes up for the other without bearing pain. Therefore, this taking up of the daily cross and following Jesus can only sanctify oneself on the way to heavenly Jerusalem. Unfortunately, we are also in the rat race environment. We miss to see this beauty of following a poor carpenter who owned nothing but by his cross gained salvation for the world. Jesus today wants us to halt, and he wants us to look at the baby sleeping, which makes us realize how fragile life is. He wants us to look at a shooting star to realize how temporary life is. Jesus wants us to look at the rising sun to realize how beautiful life is. He wants us to look at a dying person to know how important life is. Today, let's not run behind to conquer the world, but let's live to love and be loved.